How you doing, people? And I am Kavanaugh, the Southern Champ, aka the Porn Rap Star, host of STO, the Smokers Lounge. And I'm here to give you something to smoke over. I'm talking about Spotify for podcasters. That's right. Spotify now has it to where you can start your podcasting career. We're talking about video podcasting, and you can make money by monetizing your podcast, whether it's through donations or even setting up a subscriber side of your podcast. So go to Spotify, sign up, and start podcasting like me and make money. Take your hobby and go ahead and make it your career. Smoke this over. What's going on, people? How y'all doing? It's Thursday, so I ain't missed a Thursday this week. And how y'all? Well, this is the Smokers Lounge here on Spotify. Spotify. You know what I'm saying, through Spotify podcast, no longer Anchor. So I can let everybody know that because they have took it over Anchor and now have erased it. But anyway, welcome to the Smokers Lounge. I'm your host, Carol Summer Champ. And I'm not going to go through a long intro. Y'all know who sponsors us. Y'all done heard. If you've been a day one, you know who sponsors us. If you are not a day one, it's your first time listening. ExciteBunny.com, RideSizzleMagazine.com, LASwirl.com, as well as BushRocker.com. Probably on the GW District Black Podcasting Network. So go over to Shop GW District, and get some shopping done. And check me out on FullySwapRadio.com 5 days a week in the morning. Also check me out on SkyHorrorAfterDarkTV.com, as well as the BGP LLC app. And, Thursdays, as y'all know, has became the day where this is now known as Smoke This Over. The Smoke This Over episode, where I talk about something to give y'all something to think about. Because a podcast is always evolving. A podcast, if your podcast was the same in year one and is year three, then you had not achieved anything. It evolves. You might have new co-hosts. You might have new topics, or you might expand your topics, or expand who you interview and what have you. And for me, each year is expanded. The first year was just starting off. Within that first year, I wasn't doing interviews. Then eventually I started doing interviews. Year two, I moved to start a subscription side of the podcast and do video now. So now it went from me not wanting to ever do video at all and trying to avoid it to I kind of need you people when they come on to be ready to show their face. So you're getting less audio content and more video content now, which you can only see on Spotify. Understand this. The Smokers Lounge episodes that are video appear on Spotify first. A week later, you'll see them on YouTube. The Premium Smoke Room, which is subscription-based, where you pay $4.99 a month to watch extra content, you can only see on Spotify via video. The link to subscribe is in the description. Even though it has an Anchor URL, it still takes you to where you need to go to spend that money to get the extra content. We're talking about 5 extra podcasts for you to enjoy. Not episodes, podcasts. And things been going pretty well. I can't complain on that end. But the interesting reason why I came on here, because I was like, damn, I just thought about it. I need a podcast for Thursday. I need to record that. And this morning I woke up. I was up late as hell last night because I had a show I did late last night. And what ended up happening was the reason why I ended up late because Miss Lady, she woke up late and missed the start time. So we had to push the start time back, which no big deal. Anybody knows I'm easy like Sunday morning to work with. If you need to reschedule, we down to reschedule. You need to move the time back, we'll figure it out, period. And I try my damnedest to accommodate everybody, to be nice, to be courteous, and all that good stuff. Be a good host. and had some great conversations this week. Talked about so much stuff from masculinity to riding dick to all that good stuff. But the one thing that I found interesting is that people don't realize what it takes to actually run a podcast. You have a lot of people that say, I would like to do a podcast, or I want to be a podcaster, or I want to get into podcasting. And a lot of my fellow porn stars are doing that. But the question that I ask is, do y'all really, 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 really understand what it takes to run a successful podcast or run a podcast, period? A lot of people start podcasts because, like porn, they think that this shit is easy. It don't take much. All I got to do is just record myself talking about some shit and post it here. Period. And the first things first is that if you're not a big name podcast, you're not with a huge network or what have you, trust me, there's not much money in this shit, if any. Lucky for me, because I done did enough numbers when I was with Anchor and when they switched over to Spotify, podcast for Spotify, that's what it's called now, that I made up enough numbers to where now I can get advertising revenue, which means that if you listen to my podcast long enough and you happen to make it to the advertisements, I get paid for you listening to the advertisements. I purposely put them in the middle because the mid-roll advertisements, as they call them, pays out the most versus pre-roll or post-roll. And to be honest with you, you have to at least, in order to have a post-roll, have to have at least 2 advertisements. I stopped putting GW District advertisement in my podcast because, well, I'm already saying GW District in the opening, and to no disrespect to GW District, I'm not making any money from advertising for them. It's just, I'm on their site, I'm getting promotions, so yes, I will promote them, and they're black owned, so I don't mind it. But I'm not getting any money from the advertising being heard. Not that I know of. So I stopped putting their advertisements in the advertisement. Plus, I have not been editing the videos but so much. Mostly because I really don't need to. If that means if I did editing, that means I got to add the my intro track and all that shit. And I got sick and tired of whenever I upload it. Which is funny because the song that I use is my song. I own it. I keep getting copyright infringement bullshit from YouTube, which I've been trying to fight to explain to them that I own the music and that's my music. But that's the reason why I don't depend on YouTube for money. Plus, on top of that, you talking about recording. Not only am I recording for the regular podcast, I'm also recording for extra content for the Premium Smoke Room for people that are paying $4.99 a month to listen to extra content. So that means I'm doing shows with ladies for the Premium Smoke Room podcast, as well as my 3 female co-hosts. Mm-hmm. And before that, as y'all know, I had podcasts with Billy Pilgrim. I had podcasts with other ladies, which, ended up, discontinuing, which is no big deal. People's careers blossom and they move on. And there's no shame or no anger or upset or resentment because they moved on. I'm actually happy for them because, let's just be real, they're not making money from the podcast. So I'd rather for them to go where they're going to make money. And if they ain't got the passion for doing this, I don't want them necessarily to do this. You feel me? Because it takes passion. It takes a lot of love and dedication to get your ass up and record a podcast weekly. And motherfucker, I'm doing this shit damn near daily 3 times a day for an hour to 2 hours at a time. It is not just a sacrifice of time and energy, sacrifice from spending time with your wife and your kids and stuff like that. So people don't understand the sacrifices. porn has its sacrifices, just like podcasting. You know, with porn, you got to sacrifice your personal sex life. You got to sacrifice money to stay tested and to travel and all that good stuff. And for men, is being a man in the business, finding ladies that are willing to work with you and spending money to work with them, whether it's to pay them up front or to pay for their travel and hotel or to pay to get to them. You know, for ladies, you know, to get outfits, their hair done, get toys, and same thing to find people to work with and to get to them. You know, that girls don't pay for nobody to come to them, but that's another conversation for another day. So one of my favorite podcasts, as y'all know, is the Joe Budden podcast. As she's one of my mentors, him, Mandy B, and many others. And I watched this YouTube channel called The Shop. And this guy follows Joe Budden like he really follows the New York podcast scene. But his main focus has always been Joe Budden. And apparently, Joe Budden records twice a week. He records on Tuesday to release a podcast on Wednesday, and to record on Friday to release one on Saturday. And not only am I a podcaster, I'm also a fan of podcasting. I listen to podcasts. I listen to See the Thing Is, regular basis. I listen to Joe Budden on a regular basis. Sporadically, I listen to Poor Minds, as well as Ladies Pitch, as well as Tribe Chat, and many others. You know, period. And I noticed Saturday, because normally I get up on Saturdays, I go to SoundCloud and I see the circle that's lit up with Joe Budden, and I ain't see it this week. So Joe apparently did not release the latest episode. And like I said, I don't subscribe to their Patreon, and I follow them, but I really don't follow them hard like many other people do. Like, I don't sit here when Joe have a live, I automatically go check it out, or when Flip has a live or what have you. So Flip eventually had a live, and him and Joe talked, and they talked about Joe canceling the episode. Now, he didn't cancel recording it. He recorded it, but then he shut down the rest of the work day and sent everybody home. And he said he went and listened to the podcast that they recorded, and he decided not to release it. Now, understand that Joe money, podcast-wise, is made off of these releases. Now, mind you, he don't have advertisers in it, but he makes money off his Patreon. So, off a strength of them recording for the one that's going to be released on YouTube and for free, they record episodes for the Patreon. You know, period. Joe has been making changes to the podcast, adding new co-hosts such as Flip and Melissa Ford, as well as, of course, having Ice and Ish there. And he canceled it. Now, this ain't the first time that they took a day off or they didn't release or they didn't release an episode for that day. But this was the first time I ever heard that he recorded an actual episode and decided not to release it. So his reasoning for it was that it was mental health. He listened to it, and he didn't feel right about the episode. You know, period. And he felt that the energy wasn't there, and that it wasn't a bad episode. But my mama always said, it ain't what they're saying, what you need to hear is what they're not saying. He didn't say it was a good episode. Apparently not good enough for him to release it to the world to be heard. Okay, as him and Flip talked about it, they made references to it. And basically, the whole conversation was about how he was feeling, period. And it was like he was saying, it was about how he was feeling. His energy was up. He needed rest. He needed time away from, the podcast or what have you. Now, of course, the Shop, he always do what I call conspiracy theory thought process. And a lot of times he be right on point. I'm not even going to lie. He hits it right on the head sometimes with what happens with Joe and all of that, right? But what he was saying was it seemed like it might be cracks in the thing, cracks in the armor, chink in the armor. He mentioned Ish, because Ish wasn't there the last episode. Of course, Joe mentioned Ish when he said something about daylight saving time. And Joe was just making references to why he didn't release the show. And for what I took from it, in my opinion, was not that he had an issue with any of the co-hosts. Nor do I think it was any of the co-hosts' fault. I think what happened was Joe ran into a rut, aka podcast fatigue. Understand this, and the reason why I say that is I have recorded episodes, not with other people, that I did myself, that I ended up deleting or I re-recorded or what have you because I felt I didn't have the energy. It wasn't my best podcast. See, if I can't give you A++, I'm gonna give. If I can't give you A+ or A, I'm gonna give you A-. I'm never gonna give you a B. Because especially me, I'm not like Joe and them where they have plenty of visibility. I don't have no visibility. Everybody know who the hell Joe is. Not everybody know who I am. I'm getting there, but it might be there, and I might be as big as Joe one day. You never know. I don't know. But the point being is, think about this. If I catch fatigue, and the reason why I catch fatigue because I do everything myself, his fatigue is way worse because now we're talking about you're paying of a co-host. We're talking about 5 co-hosts to be exact. Y'all have to pay for the spot that y'all recording in. Because he records out of a straight up like studio / apartment that oversees the Hudson Lake, the Hudson River. Let me be the first to tell you, that shit is expensive as hell. They damn take care of for rent. The view itself is beautiful. You know what I'm saying? So, and on top of that, other deals that he has to deal with, he also has to do an amp. When I was listening to Flip saying, when he saw him walk in, and Flip said, "Dad, do you need to get some rest?" Because I'm pretty sure Joe runs himself ragged. See, what y'all see on YouTube and Instagram and everywhere where you follow him and you see him posting pictures, we supposed to show you the good side, not show you the bad side. You know what I'm saying? We want to show you the best of us. You feel me? Now, don't get it twisted. Sometimes we might post something to show you the ugly side of our situation, or we might be feeling down and we say something. But for the most part, if you look at these people's Instagrams, a lot of these podcasters, they're going to give you their best foot forward. They're going to give you their best mask. They're going to give you their best look. They're going to make sure that you think that they're up, even when they're not. And up is not necessarily financial. We're talking about mentally. See, what I'm hearing from Joe is he's getting run ragged because of all that he got, all that he's doing. He's becoming mentally fatigued. And it happens. Podcasting is a fucking lot. Plus, add to it that he is a public persona that a lot of people know. He has a lot of people that listen to his podcast. And I want y'all to think about this. Every time you do an episode, he got to look at the comments. You don't think these fuckers look at comments? And he got to see not only the positive, but he got to see the negatives. When he said something about Michael B. Jordan, that shit went viral. I was like, damn. That shit, went straight up viral. No bullshit. He said he didn't feel Michael B. Jordan was a big star or Jonathan Powers. You know how much flack he got for that shit? So, not only that I got to worry about y'all critiquing me about my podcast, but I also got to worry about y'all critiquing me about my opinion. And I might be saying it in jest. Then also add to it him dealing with the fact that people that he worked with, that he started in the business, that were podcasters. He didn't necessarily start the business, maybe helped or what have you, how you want to look at it. Taking pot shots at him every 2 minutes. It's podcast fatigue, but take away all the ugly drama, toxic shit. The fact that you have to go in there every day, and talk about the worldviews. No matter whether you're feeling sick, no matter whether you're feeling depressed, no matter whether you're feeling down, any of that. Then you add to it, he has 6 other co-hosts. He got 5 other co-hosts. Well, 6 technically if you add Parks. So now I got to keep up the energy. Oh, by the way, I'm the leader of this ship. I'm the captain. So I got to be at my best to make them be at their best. Because how can I critique them if I'm not handling business? That's what it comes down to. Heavy's the head that wears the crown. See, me, I get fatigued. I get tired. I purposely try to book days that I don't have nobody to record with. Only way I record is if it's one of my co-hosts shows for the Premium Smoke Room. Because that's the money makers. Them the shows that y'all have to pay to listen to. Because I do Fully Swap Radio, and they put me on 5 days a week because of the way that I record. And I understand the reason why the way I record it was because, well, the same vigor as I would take to the porn, I would take here. If I could record a scene every other day or every weekend or 4 or 5 scenes every weekend, you think I wouldn't fucking do it? But sometimes I run myself into a rut. Sometimes I might record 5 episodes. It takes me 2 days to finally get to them to upload them and publish them. And if I have to go in, if someone say, well, I made a mistake and said this, can you please go in and cut this out? So I had to go and find what they said to cut out. Then I have to run it through this editing program that takes for fucking ever. Then I got to upload it. I got to come up with the description. So I got to sit there and remember everything that we talked about, what was said, what is important, what trigger words that I could use that of the conversation that we talked about that could actually make you interested in actually looking at this episode, so interested in this episode that your ass will actually go past 30 minutes so that you can listen to at least 2 of them damn motherfucking commercials so I can get paid. And even hopefully entice you to become a premium smoker, and once you become a premium smoker, to stay one. I have to do all that. And see, understand, like I said, I thought about it. I sometimes do 2 to 3 episodes a day. And the reason why, because guess what? That's what my fans expect. That's what you people want. When I started dropping episodes like that, I got more engagement from people. I got more love from people. I got more people wanting to be on the show, the whole nine. Because to me, one, my podcast is not made to be a 1 week episode podcast. Because the simple fact of that, well, we don't talk about current events. That's the only reason why it would be a one day a week podcast. And why not me do these interviews? The point being is that what my shit is kind of based around is the interviews and the co-hosts with my sauce in the mix. But the first thing, of course, everybody was saying was that Joe's podcast is in jeopardy. Some of the people, he might be disgruntled with ICE, and Flip changed the dynamic of Flip changed it, so did my. I don't get okay. Look, Eric keeps saying it's Flip. Did y'all ever think that the dynamic that really changed was actually Melissa Ford? Because she's the only woman on an all-male podcast. Flip is loud, okay? He's there for the comedy. He's there for the outrageous, crazy, left field thought processes. He's the one actually that is the best one to bounce off of ish, if you want to go there. Because they're exact opposites. That's what you want for a podcast. That's what you want for a talk show. It's no fun when everybody agrees. But see, what I think is the thing of it is that it's Melissa. Because one, Melissa's the only female. Now, don't get it twisted. She can run with him. She's a damn good podcaster. Period. But she was there to bring a woman's perspective. So she's the only woman, and you have 4 guys, 5 if you add Parks. So she got to navigate being a woman in the space the whole nine. That's the dynamic that changed. Now, if they just brought in Flip and left it at that, totally different story. But he wanted to have the female dynamic in there because, one, to attract more female listeners, because you want to know who spends money for these tour tickets, people, women fans of podcasting. The women are the ones that spend that money for a ticket. They the ones that convince their boyfriend to, let's go out and see Horrible Decision tonight, baby. Let's go get a ticket. Think about what Steve Thing said. They said their crowd was mostly women and couples with some men sprinkled in. Guarantee it was less single men or group of men that went to that show. Every last one, most of the men that was there had a goddamn girlfriend. And if some of the men that did go, guarantee some of them was on the LGBTQ side of things. As well as, of course, straight men. But guarantee what was mainly in there that spent that money? Chicks. So guess what Joe is doing? Let me get Melissa Ford. Boom. That would really change the dynamic because you was getting it from a guy perspective. There was no female perspective there. Plus, on top of that, do you treat it as a chick or do you treat it as one of the guys? Because everybody's sitting there saying, oh, God, they jump on Melissa. No, they treat Melissa as one of the guys. She just happened to be a chick. But that would change it. So understand, not only because he may not handle all the business shit, but he also got to coordinate this shit. He also, let me explain something to y'all. Everything that's done in that podcast represents him. Ice and Ish can leave tomorrow, go back to what they're doing. No harm, no foul. Melissa Ford can leave, go back to what she was doing, no harm, no foul. Flip, you see what Flip does, no harm, no foul. Guess who got to pick up the pieces of a broken empire? Joe does. That's heavy on a man. That is heavy on his mental. Yeah. It's the reason why when I have like a, mental breakdown or something like that, I say something on Twitter, this and third. Because you want to know why? Because so people can see that even your stars or someone that's a public figure or what have you have bad days just like y'all. And what's so funny is people didn't realize that he just had a bad day, but of course, because he's Joe, because he's a public figure, because he's a polarizing figure, we got to dissect why he had the bad day. Dude, I have a bad day when it don't take much for my day to turn bad. I can be at work having a great day, then my manager want to say something stupid and then fuck my day up because that's just how I think and that's how I'm wired. Period. So it's kind of like people don't understand what it takes to be a podcaster. People want to jump in it, and that's good. But it's more than you just talking because you got to organize this shit. You got to figure out what your podcast is going to be about, what you're going to be talking about mainly. And it got to be passionate. Then when you're talking about you want to be in sexuality, that means now you got to open yourself up in your bedroom up to the world because of what you're talking about, what you're into. Because now, as I tell you, any guest that you bring on or any topic is something that interests you. So you're basically telling people about what you would like to do or what you're doing in your bedroom. Podcasting is the most vulnerable genre because not even like music, because we're really telling you how we think about shit. Even with a true crime podcast, I guarantee you they still give their opinion and assessment on what happened, or they might talk about it or what have you, period. But still, the genre that he's in, not only is he talking about relationship coach shit, where he do friend of the show, social issues, adding to music, and think about all the relationships that he got with people in music. So Nicki Minaj basically told dude that he had the biggest voice in hip hop. Y'all remember that interview, do you? They need to be careful with how he talk about new artists. And he could sometimes destroy a career. Yeah. Academic, same thing. Gilly the Kid, all these, because their platform is that big. But because that platform is that big, it's more stressful to maintain that platform. So him shutting down a show and this, that, and the third, let me explain something to you. That's something that dumbass motherfucker Adam 22 should have did when he got them out of his boy about that transgender. But I digress. To me, I applaud him that if he felt that that show wasn't going to be strong enough, that he should not drop it. Because I have done the same. Because we got no choice but to show our best. Me, especially. Joe, truth be told, he could half-ass a show, and y'all still gonna tune in. He could have dropped that show. That show probably could have been garbage, y'all dragging and everything. Y'all still gonna tune in just like pro wrestling. It might be less of y'all, but either way, it's gonna be enough of y'all to where it's profitable. That's all that counts. Me, I got to give you my best every show because I'm a smaller podcaster. I got way more to prove and I got to show way more hunger because my work is way more harder because I have to make my bones be seen, be known. And trust me, it takes a toll on the mental and the body. Y'all been following me. Y'all hear I've been talking about how I've been dealing with toothaches and shit like that. That's my money maker now. Not my dick. Not my dick. Is my mind and my mouth. Period. Getting mentally prepared to do an actual episode. Figure out what we're going to talk about. And I actually go off of and bounce off of my guests. I ask one question. From that one question, it's on. I got a lot of my style from Joe, from various people in the industry. From YouTubers as well as podcasters. Y'all know who they are. I haven't said their names too many times. But, and I said this on a comment on my man, The Shop. I said, podcast fatigue is a real thing. Podcast fatigue make you do stupid shit. That might have been a fire app episode. But because Joe wasn't to Joe's standard, and two, here's something else y'all didn't think about. It's his fucking company. He gave the great analogy, and I'm going to give you a great analogy. Forget him. Because he talked about when he was a rapper and he wrote something in 5 minutes and people went crazy like it. Well, I wrote this track, right, for a song that we were doing. And the fellas heard it and they said, nah, we ain't feeling it. The word name's cohesive as it should be. We ain't feeling it. I was mad as a motherfucker because I thought that shit was fire. Now, he said he knew it was his best, but boom. I go back and listen. Took my ego out of it and listened. Rewrote that bitch, one of my most fire verses I ever wrote. You feel me? Sometimes as an artist, sometimes as a creator, there's times where you just ain't gonna put that shit up because you don't feel that it's good enough or strong enough. Dude, I done did scenes where I told my partner, because I knew that shit was garbage for me on my end, y'all, man, you can keep that. I don't need a copy. I don't need a copy. Yes, it been some scenes like that. There was all one on less than one hand, but there been some scenes where I say, you keep that shit, man. I'm good. I'm gravy. I don't need it. Because I know it wasn't my best. And hated if it ever got put out. So people don't realize that if you're going to get into a business, it's okay to take a break, take a day off, shut off the phone, what have you, because let me explain something to you. You go through mental gymnastics when you're running your own business or chasing your own business or what have you, because motherfuckers, let me say this again. Y'all keep saying that the money chases you. No, nigga, you chasing the money. Because even though the money start chasing you, you looking for some new money to chase, my friend. Because you want more money to chase you. See? So that's the reason why people need to realize porn stars, they get fatigued. I was a porn star, I got fatigued. Rappers, they get fatigued. I was a rapper, I got fatigued before. Part of the reason why I jumped in porn was because I was fatigued with the rap music. I said, I've been chasing this shit. I had opportunity to get a deal, no deal here, no deal there. Now I ain't got a studio to record out of because my boy said he ain't recording nothing. You know what I'm saying? My money ain't too long. What the fuck I'm going to do? The porn opened up and the rest is history. See? Fatigue. So sometimes you need to take a break. I try to take breaks. I don't be mad sometimes when people want to reschedule. Because trust me, when I get off work, I go straight to sleep, take a fucking nap. Then I got to wake up and do 2 shows. Drink me some coffee, get my mind right. Trying to find people to be on the show, to make content, and bring people back because my fan base love when I bring them back. Period. I actually outwork majority of the podcasts in the game, including Joe Budden his damn self when it comes to recording content. So, trust and believe, I gets down with mine. But it's at a cost. And the cost is time and also mental anguish. Because when you're sitting there, you're looking at it and it might put it this way, mental anguish because you don't know if you're making an effect. You get me? And see, there's a lot of reasons why people end up leaving podcasts because they figure out ain't no money in it or it ain't no fast money in it. Who the fuck made you think that? But I digress. Same thought process that people have when it comes to coming to porn. So, yeah. So trust me, people. You being a podcaster can tire you down, man. And people don't understand that. Period. That's why I'm grateful for my co-hosts. Because every time when they come up and ready to record, it gives me energy. When I talk to the guests that I bring on or bring back and they get on the mic with energy, it gives me energy. Period. So there's no telling what Joe might have heard in that episode or what he might have been feeling it. But it seemed like to me, he felt it was more him than them. That damn, they giving it up because it didn't sound like he was mad that Ish talked about daylight savings time. It would seem like to me he was like, Ish is on it. This nigga talking about daylight saving time. Because listen to what Flip said. Flip said, yeah, he started to look it up and everything. Why would a boss man get mad if on air your man is trying to break down this daylight saving time? Because there's a lot of motherfuckers that actually want to know about this. Because if there ain't gonna be another daylight saving times or they're doing something different with that shit, I think we need to know because it does make a difference in our lives. Anything that make a difference in our lives, and guess what? Time. That means, guess what? You jump forward. You lose 2 hours. Or you lose an hour. Well, I think you lose an hour. Yeah. So, but I think I talked enough here in the Smokers Lounge and stuff and everything. It's just funny how I'm like, damn, that is tight. It's kind of cool when you think about it that people make YouTube channels for other YouTubers and podcasters, follow them. They show you how much podcast has grown. They show you how much podcast is becoming that. It wouldn't surprise me record labels start signing podcasters. Yeah. So, y'all know how this ends. All day, every day. Life is a learning experience. What's the point of the experience? You haven't learned anything. Smoke this over.